back in Reverend Baker's church. I first want to just say that I do not speak for Buddhism. I don't know that anyone speaks for Buddhism. Perhaps the Dalai Lama, but I'm definitely not the Dalai Lama. And so what I have to say is not some official Buddhist position, but just the position that I understand from my teacher, mostly, on what the Buddhist tradition says about various topics. So I just wanted to make that clear that this is not some kind of official pronouncement about what Buddhism believes. It's just my understanding. Then secondly, I wanted to say how grateful I am to be involved in these kinds of dialogues with Reverend Baker, because I was brought up a Christian. My father and grandfather were both ordained Baptist ministers. My grandfather had a church in Omaha, Nebraska for many, many years as a pastor. My father never had a church, but he was deeply involved in the denomination, in American Baptist denomination. I was brought up going to church all the time, 3 times a week, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night for something else. I even forget what it was, a youth group or something. And I went into deep rebellion against my Christian background, beginning at the age of about 14 or 15, and that lasted, about probably 30 years. It was a love-hate relationship, because I was fascinated with it. I couldn't let it go. I went into the academic world and studied comparative religion. I was a professor of that at Columbia University and then at the University of California, Riverside. And always interested, in Christianity, but with an orientation more academically towards the Eastern religions. And then about 12 years ago now, I got interested in Buddhism from a more spiritual point of view. And now I have the opportunity, wonderful opportunity, of looking back at Christianity with new eyes, with the eyes that can, I think, appreciate it a lot more than I appreciated it when I was growing up, and even as a young adult. So these talks have been very, very healing for me personally, in terms of being able to think about my upbringing in the Christian church from a completely different point of view now, as a big setup, for what happened later for my Buddhist practice. And I think as I'm seeing a few of my students in here, a few Buddhists, and I think it's really important for people who identify themselves as Buddhists in this culture, which is fundamentally a Judeo-Christian culture, of course, to really to really appreciate what Christianity and Judaism also have brought to the spiritual world. And many of us gravitated to the Eastern religions, from this point of view of rebellion, of a kind of a sense that the Western traditions weren't doing it for us somehow. But now, it's very important, I think, to recognize that all the great traditions, all the world traditions are teaching fundamentally the same kinds of things, which is not to say they're teaching identical things. So one of the things that Reverend Baker and I agreed on early on in these discussions is that, the point of these discussions isn't to say that it's all the same somehow, that Buddhism and Christianity are the same. There are differences, and those differences we respect. But at the same time, there's interesting overlaps. And for those of us studying Buddhism or having an affiliation towards Buddhism, we can see perhaps in the Christian scriptures things that in Buddhism is taught, but maybe we see it from a different angle, and we get a new insight into our own tradition by looking at the other, and hopefully vice versa. Maybe people can see something in their own Christianity by looking at some of the Buddhist texts and the Buddhist beliefs, and we both benefit, you see. I mean, it's my strong opinion that the purpose of religion has never been to separate people, to keep people apart. That's a perversion of religion. That's a perversion of true religion, is to bring people together. But people can come together as different kind of people. They don't have to come together as all the same. So it's that kind of beauty of, union in difference in union, that I think kind of has inspired these talks. At least the kind of understanding that we have of these talks. It's not to just say everything's the same, or not to argue either that much. I mean, there's no need to like have a little, war here, a war between two religions. That's not. There's been enough of that. Yeah, but to see how each other's tradition can help us with our own, help us understand our own.